Because in that waiting room, it wasn't about my child on that floor. It was about all of our children. And when good news walked into that waiting room, if that white cell count went up 10 points, that whole community celebrated that child's success. Boy, and when devastating news and death walked in, everybody tried to dissipate that as well. 5 months on a pediatric oncology floor, from the middle of July all the way to the last game of the season. And the week of the last game of the season, I made a decision to bring my brother home so that he could die in the presence of the people that had loved and nurtured him. And I'll never forget wheeling him out of that hospital corridor. I put him in my car and I drove over to Memorial Stadium where the Colts used to practice. And my teammates came out to the car and they lifted this boy, this defensive lineman that was probably about 120 pounds. And they carried him into the locker room, and there they put him in one of the whirlpools. And as he sat there and soothed his aching body, one at a time my teammates came up to him and in a clandestine way said goodbye. I took him home that night to my house in Baltimore, had his dog and his friends come down from our hometown, Buffalo, and we celebrated this early Christmas, only to find him dead the next morning. 5 months to prepare for his death, but the reality and the finality absolutely devastated me. Took his body and we flew it back up to Buffalo, and my teammates and coaches came. And the turning point of my life was standing in this cemetery, the middle of December. Buffalo, New York, the snow's blowing. There are hundreds of people out here for this 18-year-old boy. I was standing next to the casket, next to the open grave. And at the end of the ceremony, I heard the priest say the final amen. And with that, everybody turned and just started to walk away. And I remember wanting to scream, "You mean this is it? You live, you have some good times, some bad times, you die, and then everybody gets on with their own life? What's the meaning to life? Where does value and purpose come from?" I was 29 years old. I was 7 years into my career. I had accomplished and achieved beyond my wildest expectation. I had hit the long ball on that boy code athletically, sexually, and economically, and I had no concept. No concept about the meaning, the value, the purpose of life, and I had no concept of who I was. And I started this long inward journey, trying to find the answers to some of life's most profound questions. And ultimately, my question became this: what does it mean to be a man? Comes down to two things and two things only. Now, I know this not only from my own personal journey, but I know this from the last 20-some years I've been in pastoral ministry. And in my faith tradition, part of my job is to sit on the deathbed of dying people and help prepare them for the next stage of life, if you will. And here's what I know to be true for me, and I know to be true for every single one of you. If you were on your deathbed today, about to die tomorrow, and you wanted to measure what kind of success you had in life, you wanted to measure what kind of man you were, it'd come down to two things and only two things. And the first is this: on that deathbed, you recognize that all of life is about relationships. It's about the capacity to love and to be loved. What's it mean to be a man? It means you can look somebody in the eye and say, "I love you," and receive that love back. You know what the questions you ask at the end of your life? They're not about awards or achievements or applause. They're all questions of relationships. What kind of husband was I? What kind of father was I? What kind of son? What kind of friend? What kind of teammate was I? Who did I love and who did I allow to love me? It's all about relationships. Now here's the second thing, and to me it's the only other thing. Again, if you were on your deathbed today, about to die tomorrow, and you wanted to measure what kind of success you had in life, it'd come to this: at the end of your life, you need to look back over your life and know that you had some kind of purpose, some kind of cause that was bigger than who and what you are. At the end of your life, you want to be able to look back over and know that you made a difference. You lived, you loved, and you left the world a little better place. See, I think all of us ought to have some kind of cause, a transcendent cause. Transcendent in the sense that you get up every day with more concerns than just your own personal goals, wants, and ambitions. It's all about a cause. Boy, and what would happen if the country came together and all of the coaches and all the institutions said, this next generation of men, we're going to use the platform of football to teach them all about relationships and commitment to a cause. And then we release them back out into our communities and into this country. And boys had the freedom to use words like love and mercy and grace and acceptance. And whenever they walked in the world and they saw racism and poverty and anti-Semitism and things that diminish and devalued people they understood out of the essence of who they are as men, they were to demand justice be done so that every man, woman, and child in America could live with dignity and status, so that every boy and girl in this country would have the maximum opportunity to reach his or her greatest human potential. What's it mean to be a man? It's all about relationships and a commitment to a cause. Now you think about that for a second. You think about why you play team sports. Teams are built around two fundamental things and only two things. Teams are built around relationships. They're all about learning how to connect to other people and allow them to connect to you. It's about learning how to be dependable for and allow people to depend on you. Teams are all about relationships. There's a spiritual component to teams. Spirituality is the quest for self-transcendence. It's how you move around beyond your own self-fixation, your self-preoccupation. Teams are about relationships, and the second thing every team is about, it's about learning how to commit to a cause. Every player brings their own unique individual abilities, and they offer that to the team in order so that the team can accomplish what it couldn't do with just a group of individuals. See, is there a better place to help boys become men than through team sports and through football? Whenever you feel better about yourself, whenever you feel good about what you're doing, who you're doing it with, it always elevates the performance. See, I think every coach's responsibility is to use the power of that whistle to teach young men how to participate on that team through relationships and a commitment to a cause. Boy, and once we learn how to do that, once we learn about teamwork and we learn about character and we learn about commitment to each other, then this world will start to change. We need coaches, we need players that are going to use this as a venue that will help this country raise the men that are going to take us into the next generation so we can have a more fair and just society. Boy, your challenge as players here today is to use this game and use it to develop your manhood. Play this season because you love the people that are next to you. Play this season because you know how to make a commitment to a cause. Play because you were given your health, you have the opportunity to make a difference in this society. Play because football can teach you how to be a man, and this society needs you to be a man. You got it? Thank you.
Talking about what it really means to be a man. Thank you, Joe.